Chip Hanauer, the ultimate summer has arrived. He's a winner in Seattle.
On a rainy night in Seattle, as I was leaving my house to play racquetball with a friend, the phone rang. I stopped, I pondered, do I grab the phone or do I go ahead and go to the gym? I decided to take the phone call. On the other end was a man by the name of O.H. Frisbee, chairman of the board of Atlas Van Lines. He told me that he wanted to continue the racing legacy of Atlas Van Lines and keep the memory of Bill Munsey alive. He wondered if I would be interested in replacing Bill Munsey as the driver of a brand new Atlas Van Lines. What was to follow is an amazing story of a great number of people who dedicated their time, their talent, and their courage. And the result was something that none of us really could have imagined. One of the problems was there was very little time left before the 1982 season. Bill Munsey was killed in Acapulco, Mexico, at the very end of the 1981 season. A lot of time went by, Bill was buried, people mourned, but the decision had been made between O.H. Frisbee and Fran Munsey that the Atlas Van Lines team would go on. The boat was started very, very late. The racing season was fast approaching, and the brand new Atlas Van Lines boat had to be built in less than 100 days. Jim Harvey and his staff worked absolutely endlessly brutal hours trying to get the Atlas Van Lines finished to make the first race in Miami, Florida. I remember the boat was finally painted, and I remember being there late one evening when the sign painter arrived with his wooden box full of paints. I sat and I watched him as he painted my name above the Atlas Van Lines where Bill Munsey's name had been for so many years. Miami was more than the boat's first race, it was its first test session. And we knew two things after running the boat in Miami. The boat was very fast, it used very little horsepower, but the downside of that was the boat was dangerously loose. So loose, it started an argument between my father and I. It was the first time in my career he had ever challenged the way I drove the boat, telling me to settle it down or slow down. I asked him, since when did he tell me how to drive a boat? Leaving Miami, we were full of optimism if we could just get the boat settled down. The next race was in Seneca Falls, New York. Again, we made some minor changes trying to settle the boat down, things like moving the weight forward, changing the rear wing angle, but with really very little effect. The boat still wanted to fly. We knew we needed to get the boat upside down and make changes to the bottom if we had any chance of actually using the speed that was available to us with this new boat. Although we knew we had a lot of work to do, I was proud of my father. He became the first turbine engine builder to win a race with a brand new pan pack. We knew that the turbine was going to be the wave of the future, but we also knew that we had a really good race boat if we could only get it settled down.
A great race. Every time the pan pack designed by Jim Lucero hits the water, heads and stopwatches turn. The turbine engine may replace the piston-driven airplane engines now being used. Incidentally, Walters, who used to be on Bill Munsey's crew, helped to build the boat. Tom Deeth, who won the Gold Cup in '76 in a boat he built, is having a great race, but Chip Hanauer will bring the Atlas Van Lines home in third place. This history-making first heat for Unlimiteds in the state of New York belongs to Dean Chinoweth and the Bernie Little-owned Miss Budweiser.
Leaving New York, we were headed to Detroit, Michigan, the Yankee Stadium of boat racing and the home of the APBA Gold Cup. We knew we needed to make big changes on the boat, and we had some time to do it now. Jim Harvey and the crew made the decision to lower the angle of attack of both sponsons. We believed that that would make the boat much more stable, but still easy to control with a lot of air under it, but with less angle of attack, the boat wouldn't keep fighting its way up in the air. And before the last layer of fiberglass was put down, everybody on the crew and myself took a dollar bill out of our wallets, we signed it, we dated it, and put it under the last layer of fiberglass. That was to be good luck, and we really all believed in our heart that our fortunes were about to change. From the beginning of the week in Detroit, I really believed we were going to win the Gold Cup. I didn't know how, I didn't know why. It wasn't based on any objective information. It was just a gut feeling. The feeling that I was going to win the Gold Cup was still with me when I got in the boat for the final heat. The start was confused. I was early, and I left the hole open for Dean Chenoweth, who did an excellent job squeezing that big Griffin boat between me and a boat on the inside. He beat me to the first corner, and at that point I thought, boy, this is really going to be hard, but I still believed we could win.
Pouring the 4,000 plus horsepower of that Griffon engine to work, and he forges out in front.
A lot of congestion as they came down to the start. Port boats to the inside, Deeth and the Squire way to the outside by himself, and clearly it was Chenoweth who had the advantage as he came hurtling across the line, the momentum giving him an immediate lead.
A bouncy ride through the bridge turn for Chenoweth as he heads for the fastest section of the course. The water here at its shallowest, but the shore far away, giving him good soft water to run on. Second place now occupied by Hanauer, Madison in third, and Deeth sitting in fourth.
But of course the Madison, if indeed officials say she did jump, will be penalized a lap, which would make her fifth in the lineup. Meanwhile, Dean Chenoweth from the Bud powering now onto the fastest part of this long 3-mile course, hitting the nitrous oxide button, a sudden surge of several hundred additional horsepower, touching speeds upwards of 180 miles per hour under very good water conditions, now hurtling by the Detroit Yacht Club, coming to the tightest race turn on the hydroplane circuit.
Chenoweth tiptoeing around the rooster tail turn, throwing the boat sideways. And he glances back to look for second place Hanauer as his wife Jenny and his daughter Kelly cheer him on. Chenoweth is leading lap number one. The average speed at this point just over 120 miles an hour.
Coming to the first corner of the second lap, there were 3 big rollers, and I saw them because I saw Dean hit them first. I saw that he backed off and basically kind of bounced through them. I made a decision that I was either going to go upside down or I was going to fly over the top of those 3 rollers. That was the big difference in the race. Dean slowed down, got through the rollers, but he killed all of his momentum. I kept my foot down. The boat didn't even feel the rollers. We flew right over the top of them, and immediately I had a ton of momentum that he had lost. As we came off the first corner of the second lap, we were basically dead even, and the straightaway that was to ensue became part of hydroplane legend. I knew I had to stay with him to the next corner. I knew if I could get to the next corner first, we could maybe seal it. Although the boat was extremely aired out, it was extremely responsive to the throttle. I could take it right to the edge of blowover and bring it right back with maybe a 1/4 inch adjustment on the throttle. So it was basically a balancing act all the way down that straightaway. Knowing that if I could get to the Rooster Tail corner at least with them, having the inside, if I could turn a good corner, we could basically seal the fate of the Budweiser boat. Dean did exactly what I needed him to do. He panicked, he didn't back off, he carried too much momentum into the corner, which took him out to lane 4 or 5. Basically, that was the end of the race.
Hanauer turning the lap at nearly 129.
After the Rooster Tail corner of the second lap, I basically knew that if the boat would stay together, that we could win my first Gold Cup and the first Gold Cup for the Atlas Van Line since the loss of the great Bill Munsey. Those were the longest laps of my career. And remember, it was a 3-mile race course then. I thought it would never end.
Oh, look at here. This is Deeth in the Squire, and he too going airborne in spectacular fashion.
Deeth gives a wave to show everything is all right. Chip Hanauer, 2.5 seconds out in front, trying desperately for his first Gold Cup victory, and trying to do it especially as a tribute to Bill Munsey. Right behind is the Bud, Dean Chenoweth, and he continues his charge, though his engine seems to be a little bit off song.
You know that crew chief Jim Harvey and all the others who worked so hard during the past week after the damage to the boat that Hanauer is driving, they have to be just jubilant inside right now to see that all the hours, all the hard work paying off with this impressive, tremendous performance by Chip Hanauer.
Hanauer still maintaining a pace of over 120 miles an hour in the bridge turn as he brings the boat around, jumps up into the air once again, clearing the prop and even the left side skid fin as he settles it back down, eases off the power, and then heads down the back straightaway. An interesting comparison between an automobile and a racing boat. is that the racetrack for a racing car has a groove. And when you move out of the groove, the condition of the track surface actually deteriorates. But on water, the water is always the same consistency, so he can use any area of the river that he wants to as he continues to skip along the water.
Watching Tom Deeth now in the Squire as he bounds his way around this 3-mile course brings to mind the fact that Deeth, when he left after winning the Gold Cup in 1976, left the sport, he became an auto racing driver. Now, this year, for the first time since '76, back in competition, he's in 3rd place.
There you get a view of the tremendous punishment that these drivers take as Hanauer powers around the rooster tail turn and glances back to see where Chenoweth is. Well, Chenoweth is still pursuing, but he's falling back just a bit further. He's about 3.5 seconds behind now.
Veteran drivers will tell you, Paul, that it takes a great deal of patience along with intelligence to drive these huge unlimited boats. It takes a tremendous amount of self-discipline. And right now, Dean Chenoweth is probably feeling a degree of frustration as they come down to this final lap. You mentioned still running approximately 3 seconds back. His last lap showed that he was running 1 mile per hour slower than your leader. We see here now, Hanauer still bounding through the water, still aggressively attacking the course as he laps the Madison.
Hanauer now around the bridge turn, a punch of the nitrous, and accelerates down the backstretch. The boat appears so graceful as he skims across the water. But remember, there is over 4 tons of water being thrown up in that rooster tail. It can devastate another boat should they happen to cross into it.
Chip Hanauer taking that inside line now as he comes up behind the rooster tail of another boat. This is the Kentuckiana that he's chasing and passing, putting a lap down. John Petty driving that ancient hull, now in 4th place, coming up by the boats of the Detroit Yacht Club, continuing to bounce and lurch as he heads for that final rooster tail turn.
Coming off the rooster tail corner, all of a sudden I saw the checkered flag being displayed for me. It's a very short run to the finish line after the rooster tail corner. And at that point, it really sunk in that I was going to win my first Gold Cup. I was going to do it in Detroit. I was going to do it in the Atlas Van Lines, the home of O.H. Frisbee, less than 1 year after the loss of the greatest driver of all time, Bill Munsey. After crossing the finish line, I remember about losing my right arm. I was so happy. I was pumping my arm up in the air, but I was still going probably 155 or 160. My arm literally felt like it was going to come off. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe that the unimaginable had actually happened. Coming to the dock, I was too excited and basically shut the boat off too early. It took forever for the boat to finally drift into the dock. What I got to witness was so many happy people on that dock that it literally began to sink. O.H. Frisbee was known as an immaculate dresser, always wearing very expensive clothes. People started to usher O.H. off the dock. I was told that he pulled his arm away from both people that were trying to help him and said, "God damn it, I'm not going anywhere." I remember very little about the actual presentation of the Gold Cup. All I can remember is hoping that Fran Munsey was happy, hoping that her son Edward was happy, that the Atlas Van Lines team, the people that had done so much work, I just hoped that everybody felt rewarded for believing in racing, for staying with it, and for having me as a driver and having me do the job that felt so impossible, which was following Bill Munsey. It probably remains as absolutely one of the happiest days of my life. Although Dean Chenoweth was extremely disappointed after the race, he still had a genuine happiness, I think, for us winning. The whole Budweiser team were gentlemen and congratulated us through their disappointment. Arriving in Madison, I was still really high from winning the Gold Cup, and it's a good thing because Madison was nothing but problems, not only for ourselves, but fortunately for the Budweiser team as well. We were now close in points. The Budweiser had fractured a propeller, knocking them out of the race. We fared not much better with electrical problems, allowing Tom Deeth in the Squire shop to win the race. We have now been to 4 different races, and we've had 4 different winners. The next race for us was in Evansville, Indiana. Another hometown race for us because Atlas Van Lines has been based in Evansville, Indiana since it was founded by O.H. Frisbee. I was nervous about going there. That was Bill's town because Bill brought the race there. The race used to be held down the road in Owensboro, Kentucky, but Bill was absolutely adamant that Atlas Van Lines have a race in its own hometown. Bill was loved in Evansville, and I was intimidated to go there, feeling that maybe I'd be thought of as the imposter.
Atlas Van Lines. Chairman of the board is O.H. Frisbee. Home office right here in Evansville, Indiana. O.H., after losing Bill Muncie last year, who was a dear friend of yours besides a business partner, you had a big decision to make to continue.
Probably the greatest and the most difficult decision I ever had in my life because of our very close friendship, but we thought a lot about it. We gave it deep consideration. At first, it was just a no, and then later, as we further considered it, we decided in the memory of Bill Muncie, this was the thing to do. And I want to say we're very happy we stayed in.
And of course, that decision was made with the help of Fran Muncie, his wife, who is now the head of the Bill Muncie Industries racing team. Fran, your decision.
I decided that Bill loved this sport of unlimited racing, was completely dedicated to it for 25 years, and the least we could do would be to carry on his tradition.
Well, Fran, you made the right decision. You have a very successful team going. Speaking of teamwork, here's the crew chief. His name is Jim Harvey. Jim, aren't you kind of surprised that coming out of the box brand new, you won the Gold Cup, the third race of the year?
Yes, we were quite surprised the boat's come along as far as it has. We felt the first year would just be a developmental stage with the boat and get the boat sorted out. But it's come so fast, it's in leaps and bounds. The boat is incredible. The team's worked very hard. We've had many hours without sleep. Every time we've taken the boat out, it's improved.
You don't have any time clock?
None at all.
Whatever it takes to get the job done?
Exactly, yeah. Whatever hour of the day, how many hours it takes. Sometimes there's more than 24.
Well, it's a credit to your team that you've come along this fast.
Well, I'm very proud of it.
Okay, Chip Hanauer, you're the driver. You have the sponsor, the owner, and of course the crew behind you. They make it all possible. Then it's up to you when you take the water. Is there any undue pressure to take the seat of a man who was so great like Bill Muncie?
There could have been, had it not been for the leadership of Mr. Frisbee and Fran Muncie. They've been very, very good and let me be my own person, have encouraged me to drive the way I like to drive and be my own person.
Do you feel that you have to fill his shoes?
I feel like I've got a big job to do and a lot of responsibility, and for nice people like this, you just want to deliver. I can't be the next Bill Muncie. I can only be the first Chip Hanauer and hopefully be as effective, but in my own way.
And this team has been successful. Gold Cup winner of 1982, and definitely will be out there challenging for the Thunder 4 Cup today. As they come off of corner number 1 and to corner number 2.
My fears were really not well founded at all. The people of Evansville really embraced me. In the race, well, the race went to us as well. We both had problems all day long. The Budweiser were having mechanical problems. We had mechanical problems. We had to beat them in one elimination heat just to make the final. But we made the final. We had a great first lap and ended up winning the race in Atlas Van Lines' hometown. And me, the new driver.
Miss Budweiser, but look at side by side. Look at the battle he's getting from Chip Hanauer in the Atlas Van Lines as they come down to complete lap number 1. Side by side at Hanauer, they come very close to meeting right there. Oh, we'll have to watch this speed, Sam. That's all but close. Here comes the square shop. Dean Chenoweth within the Budweiser. Lane number 2, it looks like it'll be the Atlas Van Lines snugging in there on the apex, while the Gilmore Special with Scott Pierce goes to lane 3. Miss Padelco lane 4. The Squire Shop with lane 5. And I believe the Rich Plan Miss Madison somewhere in there also. Oh, they're starting. Look at the closeness between the right side of the screen. The number 1 lane is the Budweiser. The number 2 lane is going to be the Atlas Van Lines, and they're right on the money on the start. It was the Atlas Van Lines pushing the Budweiser, but Budweiser off and roaring with the Atlas Van Lines on his hip. Whoa, look at the Atlas Van Lines. Chip was really flying that boat. He had about 3 square inches of each sponsor, and he was up. Coming off that corner number 2 right now, that skid fin is really has to operate. You think Dean will try to keep it tight?
Well, Dean says he wants to run a tight course. He let Chip on the inside in Detroit. That's what cost him the race there, and it doesn't look like he's going to let up here because Chenoweth is running right along that buoy line as he scorches up the backstretch.
I would think he'd be doing about 170 mile an hour right now, and that Rolls Griffin engine has to be humming on all cylinders. As they come in now, they're at corner number 3. They're coming around to complete lap number 1. There'll be 4 more laps to go, 5 times around the checker flag. This is the final. This is the championship heat. There is no tomorrow. Look at Chip come out of his rooster tail right there. And look at the walking of Sponson to Sponson as he comes down. It's the Budweiser. It'll be about a 3-second lead for the Budweiser, and we'll put the clock on. 121.6 mile an hour for the Budweiser with Dean Chenoweth. Look at the Atlas Van Lines come on strong. He may catch up. He just may catch up right here. He is really humming into that first turn, and at the apex, they're coming off of corner number 2. Let's look for that Atlas Van Lines. He's hidden in that rooster tail. He'll come out. I see a little black smoke, Sam. It looked like the Budweiser engine might be having trouble, and I think he does.
That's right, Jim. He got on the nitrous oxide button there. You saw the brown smoke. Nitrous usually gives you black smoke when you get on that button, but it was brown smoke out of the Budweiser, and Chip Hanauer's taking over the lead.
Sometimes too much nitrous and not enough throttle can snuff out the engine too momentarily. But look at this. We are in lap number 2, corner number 3, making his turn to come around to complete lap number 2. Chip Hanauer and the Atlas Van Lines has it all hanging out. More black smoke, as you saw from the Budweiser. Here comes the completion of lap number 2. Get the clock on it, Sam.
123.7 miles an hour for Chip Hanauer. He's faster than Dean was on lap 1, Jim.
Look at him fly that boat. He is flying right on that prop. That rooster tail is so smooth that he can see as he bounces through, the skid fin takes effect, and the Budweiser will have to get changed. Third place boat right now is the Miss Prodelco. Check that, make that the Squire, then the Prodelco. The Gilmore Special with Scott Pierce is down in corner number 2 and is out of the race.
He slowed down. It could have been an oil line, it could have been an engine, that's hard to say, but he is on that backstretch, and I'm sure all the drivers are aware of it as they go up the backstretch.
All right, here we are on lap number 3 with about a 5 to 6 second lead for the Atlas Van Lines over the Miss Budweiser. The Squire Shop is 3rd, the Prodelco is 4th, the Prodelco is making a move. The Prodelco is taking over and is now in 3rd place as our leader comes off of corner number 4 to come down and complete lap number 3, and if he can hang it together, he'll be the first repeat winner, Sam Cole, of 1982.
That's right, Jim, and this 28-year-old bachelor from Seattle, Washington is very, very happy about that.
Budweiser is going dead in the water. The Budweiser has just popped something, Sam. You were right. He was having his problems, and now it's a free ride home to the bank if the kid from Seattle, Washington, by the name of Chip Hanauer, can hold that Atlas Van Lines in. Taking over now in 2nd place is the Prodelco with Steve Reynolds as he went by our screen.
Jim, you know, Chip Hanauer's got to be very ecstatic right now that he had engine problems all week here, lost an engine earlier today, but right now Jim Harvey and that team seems to have dialed everything in on that Atlas Van Lines. It's a new boat, less than 100 days old, and it's already won 2 races.
Lap number 3, 117.8 for Chip Hanauer of the Atlas Van Lines, and he'll now take a good look and he'll spot his biggest adversary, Dean Chenoweth, in the Miss Budweiser, dead down there in corner number 4. And once he can spot that, he'll know he's on his way to the bank. He'll come around this time to take the green flag.
And you know, it's got to be the first time that he's noticed Chenoweth is gone, because these guys have a hard time seeing behind them with all the water in the rooster tails. Chip's lap speed on lap 4, 115.200 miles an hour.
One more lap to go as the green flag has been taken. The Prodelco right now with Steve Reynolds comes off of corner number 4 and comes down. He's in 2nd place. 3rd place boat at the present time would be the Square Shop with Tommy Dean from Fairhaven, Michigan. Our leader right now is counting down the back chute for the final time with the checker flag waiting. And I think this is about the time the drivers tell me that your friend is in the engine.
1 year ago here, Dean Chenoweth is in the same place his boat slowed. Bill Muncy won the race in the Atlas Van Lines. This could be the 3rd win in 4 years here at Evansville for Atlas.
We had 4 winners in 4 different races, and of course the winner of the Gold Cup is the boat we're watching right now going into corner number 3 with about a quarter of a lap to go, and this race will be history. Chip Hanauer, brand new boat out of the box. You can see the Budweiser just laying right there in the water as the checker flag is waiting for Chip Hanauer. As he comes around corner number 4, he'll come in close to shore, close to our starting line. The winner of Thunder 4, Chip Hanauer, the Atlas Van Lines.
Growing up in Seattle and being a fan of hydroplanes, of course I knew who Dean Chenoweth was, and I was a big fan of his, and became a bigger fan of his when I could see how good he was at getting the inside. I don't think there was any other driver who was as good at that one skill as Dean Chenoweth. Dean Chenoweth could get the inside lane for a start better than any driver in history. Tri-Cities also saw us experience more mechanical problems, but the only thing really worth remembering in the Tri-Cities was the loss of one of the greatest race drivers in the history of the sport, Dean Chenoweth. On Saturday morning, he went out to try to get the record back that we had broken the day before. Unfortunately, Dean did not survive that attempt. There's only one word that describes the sport in those days, and the word is lethal. We had lost Bill Munsey only 9 months earlier, and now we had lost Dean Chenoweth. It was perhaps the darkest era ever in unlimited hydroplane racing. Now, examining whether I really wanted to be a race driver anymore, I was coming to perhaps the second most important race in my life. I had won the Gold Cup in Detroit, but I really wanted to win at Seafair, where I had watched races since I was a young child. Mixed emotions of the loss of Dean, but also wanting to win in Seattle and go on and win a championship. The boat was really becoming a joy to drive. Although it was very loose because it had a lot of air under it, it made it very quick because it used very little horsepower. But it was also very forgiving, and it would tell you everything it was going to do before it did it. I was really enjoying driving the boat. Qualifying in Seattle saw the second lap over 140 miles an hour ever. I remember being in San Diego and seeing Bill Munsey do the first 140 mile an hour lap, and it was like watching lightning. It was unbelievable to me that a boat could go that fast. Well, to return to the dock in Seattle, know we had turned a fast lap, but really not knowing how fast yet, and hearing the announcer announce the speed of a lap over 140 miles an hour was really a feeling of achievement, not for myself so much, but I think for the guys that have worked so hard building this wonderful machine. Although the Atlas Van Lines was having a great day on race day in Seattle, it was chaos for everybody else. Ron Armstrong was having a horrible time trying to get a handle on the Budweiser as the substitute driver for Dean. John Walters had a horrible accident involving the Executone and the pay and pack. But for us, it was an uneventful day. The boat ran perfectly, and I had won the APBA Gold Cup in Detroit, and now I had won the race in Seattle, my hometown.
Past the yachts, all the boats on the east side of the course. Riding beautifully over that choppy water. The Atlas II was a little light during the week. They had to tone it down, make it less responsive, less lively. 5-second lead now for Chip. And here comes what looks like to be the winner for today. Chip Hanauer, the ultimate summer has arrived. He's a winner in Seattle.
They're coming up side by side with about 2 seconds. 1 second. There's the gun. It's a legal start. It's Atlas Van Lines in front.
San Diego was a real turning point in my career for one big reason: introducing Jim Cropfield. Jim Cropfield was a driver that I had respected for many years and probably my biggest hero. I remember seeing Jim Cropfield win the 225 Nationals at Green Lake. It was absolutely the best driving performance I had ever seen a guy do on a race boat. And I knew I wanted to race him someday because I believed that if you could beat that guy, you had beat the best driver on the planet. Jim was not only learning a new boat, he was learning an unlimited hydroplane for the first time. Imagine coming from limited racing to a Griffin-powered Miss Budweiser.
One more lap to go for Chip Hanauer of the Atlas Van Lines, and he'll have another victory of 1982 and just about assure himself of the national championship going into the next World Championship race at Houston, Texas.
A win here makes Chip Hanauer, gives him his 7th career victory since joining the Unlimited ranks. It makes him the winningest active driver we have going in this sport right here, right now. It also ties the Atlas Van Lines Corporation with Anheuser-Busch as the winningest sponsor in unlimited hydroplane racing.
Coming close to shore, the fans are putting their thumbs up, saluting the winner of the Circus Thunderbolt Regatta, Chip Hanauer and the Atlas Van Lines.
It was fortunate for me and we won the race, but the writing was on the wall. Jim Cropfield was going to be something I was going to have to deal with for a very long time. The last race of the year was in Houston, Texas. The national championship was still at stake, and Jim Cropfield had become much more comfortable with the Miss Budweiser. He proved this by leading the final heat, getting a great start, and basically having me beat, only with yards to the finish line, running out of fuel.
As we look into the sunlight here at Clear Lake, south of Houston, Texas, coming off of corner number 2, coming down the back chute with about 3/4 of a lap to go. It is going to be the Miss Budweiser on the way. And now look at here. Here's our Budweiser. He's coming down the back chute. He has less than a half a lap to go. He's slowing down. Sam, the Budweiser with the checker flag out, is slowing down. Something's wrong.
Okay, as we look down the course, as Cropfield slows down, Jim, he's only 900 feet from the finish line. Hanauer's just coming out of turn 3 in the Atlas Van Lines, but Jim Cropfield just got to be the sorriest man in Clear Lake right now as he brings the Miss Budweiser down. He's trying to run it on the prime, Jim. Let's not get distracted with the Louis on the Lake here because it's in 4th place. Right now, all the attention's on Cropfield as he tries to get the Miss Budweiser across the line. Hanauer's heading into that turn, Jim Hendricks.
600 feet to go. The checker flag is waiting. You know that Chip Hanauer has spotted the Budweiser in trouble. He's going to come on, and if they don't get the Budweiser started, Cropfield will have to lose, and the winner is going to be the Atlas Van Lines. I can't believe it. What a boat race. The Atlas Van Lines with Chip Hanauer. What a break. You know that this sport a little bit depends on luck, but this young man has now made a complete sweep. He's the world champion, the national champion, and he's also, of course, the Gold Cup champion.
I was lucky. I won the race. I won the national championship. Not through any talent, not through a great performing boat, but sheer luck. But I was happy to have it. On the flight home from Houston, I had time to reflect. I had won the Gold Cup. I had won in Seattle. I had won a national championship. I had a wonderful time with great talented people. I had great support from my sponsor Atlas Van Lines, its chairman of the board O.H. Frisbee, and most of all Fran Muncy. We had a team that was going to stay together, and we had a great challenge ahead of us. We had a Budweiser team that was angered, that was ready to grit their teeth, that was inspired by the performance of their new driver, Jim Cropfield, and at that point, life just didn't seem like it could get any better. The personalities and the people of that year will remain with me forever. Fran Muncy, the owner of the team, the person who had the courage to put the team back together after the loss of Bill Muncy, the greatest driver ever, her son Edward, who was deeply affected by the loss of his father, O.H. Frisbee, who supported the Muncy family in this effort to go on, the wonderful board of directors of Atlas Van Lines who gave me so much support, the employees of the company, and even the people that drove the trucks. And the team that I had around me, Jim Lucero, although the team manager of the Pay and Pack team, lent a great deal of help. Jim Harvey, the hardworking crew chief who battled back after every adversity. Glenn Davis, the most talented engine builder I've ever worked with. Tim Ramsey, who had been a crew member for the great Bill Muncy and really looked at Bill as a second father. Gary Steele, a young Canadian kid from Moncton, New Brunswick, who started out as a display boat driver but wanted to be a racer. And Gary Redmond, a hardworking mechanic, also from Seattle, who also grew up loving race boats. There was another individual, you'll never see a picture of him, but he played a huge role in the Atlas Van Lines, and that was John Love. These were the guys that made it happen for me, and I'm happy that I was able to give it back to them.